in November of 2023, I was a math instructional coach. And now the kindergarten teachers will introduce themselves.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Aston Chudo, a dual language Spanish teacher for kindergarten. I've been with the program since it started in 2017, and I'm excited to welcome a new group of students soon. Prior to coming to Stratford, I taught bilingual kindergarten in Bridgeport for 7 years, and then I've been in Stratford since 2017, so always with kinder, the little guys. Welcome.
And good evening, I'm Robin Heatherman, and I started 4 years ago. Aston recruited me. We worked together for 1 year in Bridgeport in kindergarten. And before that, I was in New York City and in Stamford and raising my children. So I too am excited to work with a new group of children, and we have wonderful colleagues here. So welcome.
Thank you. And now moving forward, we're going to turn our cameras off because we just want you to see all of the information a lot clearer. And sometimes it could just be distracting to see our faces as well. So we will turn our cameras off now and we will begin the information. So this is very important. Beginning with the 2024-2025 school year, Connecticut General Statute requires children to turn 5 years old on or before September 1st. If your child doesn't meet the eligibility age cutoff, but you believe your child is ready for kindergarten, you would follow the waiver procedure. So the first thing you're going to need to do is send Heather Borges, that's the first bullet, an email requesting a waiver. Once you do that, you will receive confirmation that the district received your request. The request will be sent to the appropriate school principal. The district will use a screening process, an evaluation called Sparkler, to understand your child's development and readiness for kindergarten. You will receive the information to download the app and Stratford's code. And then after the screening process is complete, the school principal will review the application and will schedule a meeting. So once again, if your child, very important, is not 5 years old before September 1st, I would highly recommend that you get this waiver process started so that you can be all set before our lottery, which I will speak about in a little while. One more time, if you're just joining our YouTube live information session for the dual language program, Juntos, which is located at Second Hill Lane Elementary School. It is a mandatory session, so please use this email as your attendance. Send us your name and your child's name, your incoming kindergartner's name, and also any questions that you have, and we will try to answer most of them by the end of this presentation. Okay, so to give you a little history of the Juntos program, the Stratford Public Schools dual language program. I'm sorry. The Stratford Public Schools dual language program, Juntos, began in September of 2017 with 2 kindergarten dual language classrooms. The dual language program, Juntos, was originally housed at Stratford Academy Schools, which were the Victoria, Soto, and Johnson School. In 2022, the Juntos dual language program moved to Second Hill Lane Elementary School. And this current school year, in the 2023-2024 school year, the first dual language class is now in the 6th grade, and they are ready to graduate. Our program model. We are a 2-way 50-50 dual language immersion program that uses the team teaching format. That's a mouthful, but I will explain what everything means. We are 2-way, which means we have students learning a second language in both directions. English dominant students are learning Spanish, and Spanish dominant students are learning English. In the same way that a 2-way street has no better side, Both languages in our school are equally important and valued. We are a 50-50 model, which means that we balance language usage equally over the school day, as well as over the academic career of the students. Half of the day is taught in English and half of the day is taught in Spanish. And furthermore, over the 7 years, students will learn math, science, and social studies an equal number of years in each language from kindergarten to the 6th grade. We also think of 50-50 as the balance of our students within each classroom. We ensure that half of the students in each class are stronger in English and half of the class are stronger in Spanish. This ensures that throughout the day, our students have strong peer language models who can help one another and exemplify native language usage. We are an immersion program, which means students are immersed in each language during class time. This means that all of the materials in the physical environment that are in the target language. The teacher maintains the target language. The students are encouraged to use the target language. And language is taught through content. That's to say, students learn about language through science, history, and math. It is far more motivating and relevant to students to learn language to communicate real ideas rather than the rote grammar lessons that many of us are familiar with in the foreign language classroom setting. This is one of the reasons why two-way immersion programs are so effective. And finally, we use the team teaching model. Some programs utilize one teacher who teaches in both languages over the course of the day. But in our Juntos program, our teachers partner up. We have an English teacher and a Spanish teacher who each teach a group of students for half of the day. This means that Group A may begin their day in the English-speaking classroom and after lunch switch to the Spanish-speaking classroom for the second half of the day, and vice versa for Group B, who would start in Spanish and finish the day in English. So a two-way dual language program should not be confused with other bilingual education models. There are a lot of misconceptions about what a dual language program really is, and they often get confused with other kinds of bilingual education models. The ones most people are familiar with are called transitional bilingual programs, and some of you may have even been in a program like these. They are very common throughout the country. Students who come from families who speak another language, usually Spanish, begin in a bilingual classroom that teaches in both English and Spanish. As the child progresses through the years, they receive more and more English instruction and less Spanish instruction, with the ultimate goal of exiting the program, usually after 3rd grade, but sometimes after 5th. Students in these types of programs end up losing their Spanish abilities, especially in reading and writing, as English takes over. For this reason, they are called subtractive models, because the native language is taken away. We at Second Hill Lane's Juntos program are an additive program because we use each language to support the other. The end goal for our program is bilingualism and biliteracy. The learning of one language does not take away from the learning of the other, but rather reinforces each. So if you come into the program with only English, you will graduate having added Spanish, and vice versa. And for our students who come into the program with varying degrees of both languages, as many of our students do, they will graduate with a command of both academic languages, which would be very unlikely without the support of a program like ours. Once again, if you are just joining our presentation and you have any questions, and it is a mandatory information session, and we want to make sure that we give you credit for attending, you need to email us your name, your child's name that will be entering kindergarten, and any questions that you would like us to answer before the end of the presentation. Curriculum and instruction. Our program follows the Stratford curriculum in regards to which standards are taught in which grades and at what time in the school year. You could walk into any kindergarten dual language classroom in the fall, and you would see the students learning the same concepts as any other school in town. As is mandated by the state of Connecticut, we follow the Common Core standards for language arts and mathematics, which prepares students for college and careers in the 21st century. The other thing is that instruction is different in and is respectful of each language. So we know that there are differences and similarities between English and Spanish, and we will talk about that and get into that a little deeper a few slides down. We utilize 3 linguistic spaces: the English classroom, the Spanish classroom, and what we call the meta-linguistic space. The concept of the emergent bilingual. A lot of research has happened in the last 5 years as the popularity of dual language programs has increased. The work of Kathy Escamilla in particular has truly changed the field of bilingual education and has certainly impacted dual language instruction and program models. We already know that instruction needs to look different in each of the 2 languages, but we are learning it goes beyond just understanding how each language is learned. For many years, like every other dual language school, we took the monolingual curriculum that was provided to us and simply delivered the instruction in 2 languages. The assumption was made that as long as we delivered the material in each of the 2 languages, our bilingual students would be able to neatly and cleanly learn the material. We assumed that our students could compartmentalize the English and compartmentalize the Spanish and produce compartmentalized language. But our brains don't work that way. Language learners use what they know in one language in order to make sense of things in another. For example, a student might use what they know about forming the possessive in English by adding an apostrophe S and try to do the same thing in Spanish. Or they may know that an adjective in Spanish follows a noun and try to do the same in English. This was always seen as simply an error and something that needed to be fixed. Instead of giving the student credit and praising their creativity and application of language knowledge, we would work to eliminate the problem. We know now that this mixing of languages is natural and shows great flexibility, and we have teaching strategies that can harness the skill of going back and forth between language. Anyone who is on this information night who is bilingual, I'm sure can give a million examples of how English has influenced their Spanish and Spanish has influenced their English. It's a fact of life, especially for this generation of kids who are growing up in a very bilingual world and who are learning 2 languages simultaneously. So to give you an example of what this might sound like, you might hear a child say, "Mommy, quiero jugar outside." Or, "Where are my zapatos?" Or, "Mi tía's casa." Knowing this has huge implications in the way we are teaching. Instead of looking at this as a problem, we are using it to our advantage. Instead of trying to always keep the languages completely separate all the time, we are strategically planning for moments to allow the 2 languages to exist side by side and teaching our students how to notice the similarities and differences in each language. We allow students to explore language in this way, which is leading to higher levels of fluency and is encouraging problem solving and control of language. It makes learning a language a lot like solving a puzzle. And this is the bridge. The way we utilize the metalinguistic space that I mentioned earlier and the strategies that we use that are evidence and research based that we know that are very effective in promoting biliteracy will be seen in this video that I'm going to share and show you. So yeah, this has led us to something called the bridge as part of our units of instruction, just to give you some background before I play the video. I really want to explain this to you so that you have a better understanding of why we don't need to teach each content area in both languages during the school year. After students have finished a thematic unit of study, they get the opportunity to explore ways to use the language around that topic in the opposite language. Basically, what happens is the students come up with the words, phrases, or sentences that were most essential to their learning for that unit and create either a list, a diagram, or a paragraph. Then they translanguage, working together to find equivalent words and phrases in the opposite language and put them side by side. The students are then encouraged to compare and contrast the languages, noticing places where language transfers and places where languages differ. From there, the teacher will guide the students through a variety of mini lessons that allows students to learn about particular grammatical or spelling features of each language based on what the students had noticed. Through this, students have not only learned how to articulate their learning about math or science in two languages, but they have also been led through an intense study of the languages in a really authentic and meaningful way. And the whole process was driven by their own noticings. So when we say that there are three linguistic spaces for learning, this is the third, the bridge. Now I'm going to share a video with you, and you're going to see two strategies. One is called TPR, which is total physical response. So you're going to see the teacher engaging students in a lot of movements and connecting vocabulary words to a movement. This is a highly effective strategy when you're learning a second language. And then you're going to see her bridge a lesson. So I'm going to stop sharing this, and I'm going to share the video. And here we go.
El puente. ¿Y qué pasa cuando cruzamos el puente? ¿Quién me puede decir? A ver, señorita, dime tu nombre. Kiara, dime, ¿qué pasa, Kiara? Vamos a cruzar al otro idioma, ¿verdad? A inglés. Muy bien, así que ya voy a poner, pero antes de eso me voy a poner mi bufanda mágica. Y salud. Y cuando yo me pongo mi bufanda mágica, puedo hablar dos idiomas. ¿Cuáles dos idiomas son? Los dos idiomas, español y el inglés, pero no puedo hablar inglés hasta que me... Now I can speak English. Now I can speak English. And I'm going to go ahead and write it English. What we're going to do now is we're going to bridge the words to English. So can you do the words with me? Can you do the words with me? First, do them with me. I know everyone has their hands up. Y'all are so, you're with it. But do the words with me. Do the words with me. Solution, right? Problem. Scene. Setting. Does Amanda's help with setting? The setting. Do it with me. Setting and character. Character. Okay. Do you have a partner you work with? Yes? Can you turn knee to knee, and we're going to practice knee to knee. Turn to your partner. Who's your partner? Find your partner. And I want you to, can everybody see me? Can everybody do it? Yeah. Okay, so I want you to do it with me. In a minute, you're going to do it with your partner, okay? So do it with me. Solution, problem, setting, I want to say scene, and character, right? And then let's do, what is this? A fictional book, right? Or a fiction book? A fiction story. A fictional story. Let's do fictional story. Do it with me. Do it with me. Everybody, look at me. A fictional story. A fictional story has a character, a setting. Okay, say it with me again. A fictional story has a character, setting, solution. Okay, now I want you to practice with your pair. A fictional story, practice with your pair. Turn around and practice with your pair. A fictional story has character, setting, problem, and solution. Again, a fictional story has a character, a setting, a problem, and a solution. Very good. Does everybody have it? Let me see. Character. Setting. Fictional. Oh, that was tricky. Fictional. Very nice. And then solution. Good. I like that. Do you have another suggestion? Oh, we forgot problem. Problem. Problema. Very good. Okay, so come back to me. Come back to me. Come back to me. So I wanted to say there's also words that are important for a fictional story. What are they? Can you tell me so that I can put them up on our list too? Let's see. Tell me your name. Emma. What is the word that is important for fictional stories, Emma? Solution. So should I put the solution or a solution or the solution? If I have, go ahead. Let's put the solution, okay? The solution to the story. Because we just gets really excited and then wants to do all this teaching. Yes, gentlemen. Tell me. I'm sorry. Give me your name. I'm sorry, Madison. Tell me, what is the word that you want to add, Madison, to our list? Problem? What should I put, Madison? Thank you. Excellent. Tell me, were you going to say something? We can't see something. The problem. Thank you for saying it louder. The problem. Okay, somebody else that I haven't heard from. Do you want to tell me what is another important word? Tell me your name first, I'm sorry. Okay, Sophia, what is a word that's also important for fictional text? A character. And I'm going to put the character.
Okay, so I want to make sure I'm cognizant again of the time, and that is what total physical response looks like and the bridge from one language to the next. I'm going to go back to the presentation and share the presentation. Okay. So what are the benefits of bilingualism? Attention and focus. Knowing when to speak in one language or the other. Addressing people in different languages. Having this kind of control requires a skill called inhibition and task switching, which are part of executive functioning. People who speak two languages often outperform monolinguals on general measures of executive functioning. They can pay focused attention without being distracted. Empathy. Again, knowing which language to use with which person and at which time. Research has shown that children get a head start on tests of perspective taking and theory of mind. Reading achievement in English. Dual language students outperform their peers in English reading skills by a full year's worth of learning by the end of middle school. They believe much of this has to do with how dual language students become great language puzzle solvers. Diversity. Kids of all backgrounds gain comfort with diversity and different cultures. Everyone feels valued and naturally values others. Critical thinking. Bilinguals are better at picking up on nuances and subtleties. This leads to more informed decision-making rather than emotional decision-making. And memory. Protection against cognitive decline and dementia. Here's a benefit that you may not see for a while. Studies have shown that bilingual brains are more resilient in terms of maintaining memory, especially in Alzheimer's patients. I have a sample schedule for kinder. It is just a sample. It's not to say that this is the schedule they follow at Second Hill Lane, but it's very similar. And some of the highlights of this page that I wanted to share is that you can see there's a grade 1A, grade 1B, and you can see that there's English across the top and Spanish, which is in green, and English. And I will explain how this works. Children who come in to their Spanish class in the morning receive Spanish instruction in Spanish language arts, and usually it's combined with science or social studies. There is an intervention, a block of time to provide math intervention or reinforce the math that is being taught in the other language through numbers talk. We also have literacy intervention that offers both support in foundational skills in both languages. Then around the midday, and I'll back up a little, they have their specials, which are art, music, gym, and then they have their recess and their lunch. And somewhere around midday, they switch. And so again, they spent their morning in Spanish, and now that's in green. And now they go to the English side. Again, they learn language arts, English language arts mixed with the content, and then they learn math all in English. So this is a sample of what the students' day looks like and how they switch in a dual language program. And one of the things I wanted to highlight too is that one of the other visual strategies that we use is to provide any sort of writing in the classroom. On the Spanish side will be in English usually, and usually any Spanish anchor charts or any work around the room produced by the teachers and the students on the Spanish side will be written in a green marker. And on the English side, the teacher will use a blue marker. And that is strategically planned so that when students walk into the Spanish classroom and they're immersed with all this print-rich walls and anchor charts, they'll see the green, and it's just a reminder that they're in that target language, and they should make every effort to speak that language and read and write it and listen. And the blue is just a visual that they are now in the English side. And now for the next few slides, our dual language teacher will share.
Okay, so a day in the life of a dual language learner. If a classroom has week A Spanish morning, they would have morning meeting and readers workshop shared reading, read aloud, and word work or writing, and math in Spanish, while a weekday English afternoon, they would switch after lunch, as Ms. Cruz was saying. They would have an afternoon meeting, social studies and science, word work, writing, read aloud, and shared reading in English. Students receive work and read alouds and different books, thank you, and instruction every day in both languages. Math and science and social studies are taught in one language per unit. So we switch off every other quarter. And the literacy expectation, the goal for students to become bilingual and biliterate. So they need to identify letters and sounds in both Spanish and English. They need to identify 100 sight words, 50 of those in Spanish and 50 of those in English by the end of kindergarten. Oral language and vocabulary in both Spanish and English, and they need to build their oral language skills in both languages. Our math expectations, the skills are assessed in both languages, so they need to be able to identify and write numbers 0 through 20 in Spanish and English. They need to count to 100 in Spanish and English. They need to identify geometric shapes and colors and describe the size and position of shapes. And they need to add and subtract within 5 in both languages, and maybe even 10 if we have high math group.
Thank you, Ms. Heatherman.
Thank you.
Once again, if you're just joining us, we would like to remind everyone on this information session to please use this email as your attendance. Please email us your name, parent name, incoming kindergartner's name, and any questions about any of the information that you've heard thus far, and we will try to answer them as best as possible by the end of the presentation.
¿Cómo están hoy, niños? Bien. ¿Cómo te sientes, Zachary? Feliz. ¿Cómo te sientes, Victoria? Feliz. Edenar, ¿cómo te sientes?
Yo me siento feliz.
Oh, muy bien. Brittany, ¿cómo te sientes hoy? Feliz, muy bien. Bien, vamos a empezar con el calendario. ¿En qué mes estamos, niños? ¿En qué mes todos?
Abril
Muy bien. ¿En qué año?
2018.
Muy bien. Vamos a decir las figuras que tenemos.
Esfera, cubo, cono.
Muy bien. ¿Qué número era ayer? ¿Quién sabe este número? Edenar.
18.
18, muy bien. Entonces, ¿qué número viene después del 18? 19, muy bien. Y Rachel, ¿sabes qué figura viene después de las dos esferas que vienen? ¿Cuál figura? Un cubo, ¿están de acuerdo?
Sí.
¿Qué figura es esta? Cubo. Muy bien. Entonces, hoy tenemos número 19. Ayer era 18. Y alza la mano, ¿qué número va a ser mañana? Después de 19, Trayvon? 20, muy bien. Entonces vamos a decir la fecha juntos. Hoy es el 19 de abril del 2018. Muy bien. Y entonces, ¿qué día de la semana es hoy? ¿Sí?
Hoy es jueves.
Muy bien, vamos a leerlo con ella.
Hoy es jueves.
Muy bien. ¿Y qué día fue ayer? Antes de jueves, ¿qué día fue? Sí. ¿Qué día fue, Edenar?
Ayer fue miércoles.
Muy bien, vamos a leerlo juntos.
Ayer fue miércoles.
Okay, so that is a video of what kindergarten looks like in the Spanish side. Okay, so this page I wanted to share with you some of the family supports that are in place or that I would like to put in place moving forward. As I mentioned, I am new to the program, but I know that some of these supports are very important. So I would like to create a family partner program. So you might see that if you are after the lottery, if you are accepted into our program, and it's just a way to partner up families who might be stronger in one language and might need help with a letter, some sort of communication that they've received, or just questions about the classwork. Newsletter. So I know that Second Hill Lane is about to put out a newsletter, and we would like to have those come out, if not monthly, then at least quarterly, and just provide you any events or updates within our program. Parent workshops. I believe that one literacy workshop might be coming up soon in March this year. Kinder and First might be teaming up for that. So we're always thinking of ways to educate our families. We know how vital it is for us to work as a team, parents, teachers, and students. Parent coffees. So I had one in, I want to say it was January or February, and I had several parents come. They usually take place at 9:30 in the morning. It's very informal. We sit, you come with any questions or concerns or ideas, and we listen to one another, and it just helps to make connections and build community. A parent university is something that I would love to offer at some point. It might take place on a Saturday, but again, with teachers volunteering to teach a course, maybe around how we build literacy in the oracy in the dual language program, perhaps a little more about TPR, and we can even integrate a parent university with the other teachers at the Second Hill Lane School, the monolingual classrooms. Again, just an opportunity to provide parents some sort of workshops where they can walk away, or courses where they can walk away with something new that they have learned and how they can support their child. And finally, you have me. I will always be a support. Any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me. My email is cruzd@stratka12.org. And like I said, we are going to answer as many questions as we can at the end of this presentation. And any of the questions that I cannot answer tonight, I will definitely follow through with the email. Very, very important. Your kindergarten registration must be completed completely without any missing documents by March 22nd in order to receive an individual number for the lottery. So please try to get, again, on that waiver if that's something that pertains to your child. If you have not registered for kindergarten, I highly recommend you start that process. There are many documents to upload. So yes, March 22nd is our deadline so that we can have enough time to send home the letters with a specific number that you will have for your family for the lottery. The lottery will take place on Wednesday, April 13th. Sorry, I did not change the year here. But it's 2024, not 2022. It will be at 6:30 p.m. and it will be a virtual lottery. These are some excellent parent resources. A lot of them come from the website Colorín Colorado. I would highly recommend that you either take a picture of this with your telephone. You can always reach out and I can send you the link to this recording, which will give you access to a lot of these resources. And this one's another great video on the benefits of the bilingual brain. Just another sort of infograph on reasons why you should learn a second language. I know it's very hard to read, and I apologize. And now we are ready for your questions and comments. So with that being said, I'm going to turn my camera back on. And Mrs. Heatherman or Ms. Shudo, if they have been monitoring our attendance and our questions, is there anything?
There's one thing I just wanted to say. April 13th is not a Wednesday, it's a Friday. So I know the year was different, but so is the day.
Thank you. And now that you say that, I do apologize. I do believe that the lottery is April 3rd. Is that what we mentioned for our Spanish presentation? I think it is Wednesday, April 3rd. Let me just check my calendar. So I do apologize again for that mistake. Yes, it is Wednesday, April 3rd at 6:30. I will update that slide, but I'm glad that you brought that up, Ms. Heatherman. So any questions that came through in the emails?
Yeah, so I can read them to you.
Okay.
So we have a question. How many spots are available in the program for next year? In other words, how many new children are expected to get in via the lottery?
Excellent question. So contractually, teachers in K1 and 2 can go up to 24 students in each class. So that would be a total of 48 seats that we have. However, siblings do have priority. So if any incoming kindergartner has a sibling in the program, they do not have to participate in the lottery. They automatically are guaranteed a spot. So that will reduce the amount of seats that we have. And from the amount of seats that are left, we have to make sure that half of them are English dominant and half are Spanish dominant.
Okay, we also have, what happens if a child does not get picked in the lottery? Do they get another chance the following year? And will there be funding in the future to house this program at other locations that are more convenient to other kids?
That is an excellent question. The first part again, Aston, please.
What happens if a child does not get picked in the lottery? Do they get another chance the following year?
So this is quite interesting. If they do not enter in this year's lottery, they will be placed on a wait list. And you will be surprised at how many families leave the district, go back to their country, or just actually deny the seat in the program. They just make a decision not to be in our program. What was the second part of that?
And will there be funding in the future to house the program at other locations more convenient to other kids?
I hope so. Right now it's just at Second Hill Lane, but I had another parent who called me and asked me the same thing. Was this program available at other schools? Currently, it is not, but we do have an influx of newcomers arriving to Stratford Public Schools. So my hope as the supervisor of this program is that one day maybe we can scale it up to a whole school or maybe have it offered at other schools. But currently it is just offered at Second Hill Lane.
And then we had another question that says our child will be 5 years old on September 5th, a few days after the 1st. And they've already submitted a waiver. How long does it take for the waiver to be approved?
That's a great question. I'm hearing that the turnaround is pretty quick. Once Mrs. Borges receives the email, she's getting right on those waivers. She is aware of our lottery. So we are trying to get those done by, before April 3rd, so that we have a clear picture as to, is your child ready for kindergarten and to learn in 2 languages as well. I mean, we know that most kids are, but yeah.
Then we have another question. What is the screening process to determine a child's readiness? Will the process be the same, being that their child will be 5 years old only a few days after the 1st? What type of questions are to be expected?
That's a great question. I can get more information and maybe reach out to you more about that. I know that it's the exam or the evaluation or the assessment is called Sparkler, and it's an app. And I think they will reach out and have the child come in and give them the evaluation. If I've said anything differently, because Ms. Shudo and Heatherman have been in the program and I'm just joining Stratford, please correct me. But that is how they're using the Sparkler assessment. And as I mentioned at the beginning, you will, after the waiver, you will get confirmation. They will reach out to you to give you the information on how to download the Sparkler app, how to add the Stratford code, and then the principals will reach out to set up the assessment.
And that is new this year too, so we don't know either.
Okay.
Another question, this parent already enrolled their child without entering the dual language lottery, but they're reconsidering. Can they go back and edit in order to enter the lottery?
I'm not sure about editing and I'm not sure what grade, but one thing I want to make very specific is in our dual language program, we can only accept English dominant children no later than kinder or even first grade. I would even say kinder, because then what happens is they have lost all of the instruction on the foundational skills, letter sounds in Spanish, the syllables, and how to begin literacy, right? Reading and writing in Spanish. However, if you're dominant in Spanish, because this is a program that really is trying to maintain the Spanish and continue to develop to high levels of high academic levels of Spanish. If you're a Spanish dominant speaker, not the families, but the student, then you can come into our program at any point that your child and at any grade. So if you have a third grader who is dominant in Spanish, and you would like them to join our program, you can reach out to me and we will sort of have a conversation. And if there is space in the classroom, then we will definitely accept students at any point and at any grade.
Okay, we also had a question, what time does the school day start?
Oh, ladies, what time? 8:30?
Yeah, the doors open at 8:30. They have to be there by 8:45. If they come after 9, they're considered late. And then we had one more that just came in. Since the child is in preschool, do they need to register them for kindergarten?
That's an awesome question. My understanding, what I'm learning is that if they're at our preschool, which I think is housed at Victoria Soto, they are all set. However, I would highly recommend, since you did all of your registration last year and you're not required to do the entire kinder registration again, but you do want to be considered for the dual language program, my understanding is that you need to contact the secretary of the Victoria Soto preschool and let her know, because she and I are collaborating on keeping a list of those families that are interested. However, if your preschool is a private preschool and is not part of the Stratford Public Schools, yes, you do need to complete the kindergarten registration.
That's right. And then we just had one question come in the chat. We've submitted all our paperwork. We've not received a lottery number. Should we reach out for an update?
No, the lottery numbers we're just waiting, and we're going to start sending home letters probably in about 2 weeks or the second week of March. We're going to start looking at completed applications, start getting those letters out with your specific number. But you should definitely receive that before April 3rd, before the lottery. You're welcome.
We just got another one that came through in the email. It says, do you have to apply for a waiver before you complete the kindergarten application, or can you complete the kindergarten application first?
That's a great question. I think you should start with the waiver.
Yeah, I think
yeah, go ahead, Robin. What are you thinking?
No, I was just going to say that too. I think the waiver first and then.
Yeah. I mean, again, the kindergarten registration does require a lot of documents to be uploaded, but my understanding as well is that 2 weeks before school starts in August, if you still have documents, you can bring them personally to the school. But for our program, we would really like all those documents for the lottery to be completed by March 22nd. Okay, we'll just wait another minute or two just in case there's anyone else who would like to submit. I just wanted to show that email one more time. There it goes. So if you have any questions and you're still on, if it's really important that you send us your name, parent name, child name, at least for your attendance, even if you don't have any questions, this is how we're taking attendance for this mandatory meeting. And again, any families that have missed this presentation can reach out to this email, let us know, or to myself or my secretary, Denise DeBernardo, and let us know that you need the link to watch the information session, and we will send that to you. Thank you. I hope it was enough information for everyone to. Oh, one thing I did want to say, please visit the Second Hill Lane website that is under Stratford Public Schools. Now that we're here, let me just see if quickly I can share that with you. Yep, I'm going to share that with you because I want to, if there's another video here that you can just make sure I'm sharing this. Yep. And if you go here under schools, okay, where did it go? Hold on, sorry. Here, if you go under schools and you go to Second Hill Lane and you go under academics, whoops, you will see more information. There's additional information. There's a video here, and there's additional information on exactly what dual language is. So, and there's lots of information about Second Hill Lane Elementary School, because as I said, we are just a program in an entire elementary school, and Second Hill Lane has a student population of about approximately 650 students. So it is a very big school. So if you are interested in our program and you'd like to sort of get to know the school, I recommend that you visit the website.
We did have one more question that just came in.
Good.
Mrs. Cruz. Once accepted, will we be doing kindergarten orientation with Second Hill Lane as a whole, or will it be a separate dual language orientation?
What has happened in the past, Ms. Udo and Ms. Heatherman?
It's been all together in the past with all the other Ks.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes the most sense. They're just all coming into kindergarten. And so we like, again, even though we are, right, a dual language program within a school, we take advantage of every opportunity to bring all of our grade levels together as much as possible.
And we usually do, the kids get to like visit the classrooms for a little while usually. So what Mrs. Heatherman and I do, we'll bring the kids who have been accepted into our program and they'll come and shadow our rooms specifically.
Awesome. Okay, if there's not any more questions, then this again will be shared with any parents that are interested. And if you just want the presentation, to click on the links, reach out and I can share that the recording with you. All righty, so thank you so much for attending. Thank you, Ms. Heatherman and Ms. Shudo. And just wishing everybody a good night and get those waivers going and get that kindergarten registration going. And again, March 22nd is the deadline. So we know how important this program is for many families and the interest they've shown. So get that going. That way you will receive your number and you will have a spot secured, at least for the lottery. All righty. Have a good night. Thank you for attending.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.